There are experiences happening to you that you can't explain to anyone, patterns too perfect to be coincidence, dreams that feel more real than waking life, knowledge arriving without learning, sensing things before they happen. Carl Jung spent his entire career studying these phenomena. You might be navigating your daily routine, surrounded by people who have known you for years, yet you have never felt more profoundly lonely, harboring a secret reality that you dare not speak aloud for fear of being labeled crazy. This isolating sensation, this heavy, silent grief that accompanies your existence, is not a symptom of mental unraveling, but rather the undeniable onset of a profound spiritual awakening. You are experiencing a metamorphosis, a radical reorganization of your conscious awareness that separates the awakened from the unconscious masses who still sleepwalk through the mundane illusions of ordinary life. As you navigate this strange new terrain, the world you once understood begins to fracture, revealing a hidden, underlying architecture of meaning that only you seem able to perceive. This is a frightening, humiliating, yet ultimately liberating initiatory process, one that requires immense courage to endure as your old identity crumbles away to make room for something vast and ancient. Carl Jung, the legendary psychiatrist and pioneer of the deep psyche, understood that what modern society often misdiagnoses as pathology is, in truth, the very mechanism of human evolution. He mapped the treacherous waters of the unconscious, providing a framework for the mystical and inexplicable events that activate within the minds of those who are being summoned by destiny. If you are experiencing this, you have likely been pulled by an invisible current away from the superficial concerns of society and thrust into the depths of your own soul. You are not losing your mind, you are finding it, expanding it beyond the narrow confines of the personal ego and tapping into the infinite reservoir of collective individuation. The first undeniable sign of this awakening is the experience of constant dialogues with the universe through what Jung termed synchronicity. For the unawakened, a coincidence is merely a random intersection of meaningless events, easily dismissed and quickly forgotten. But for you, the spiritually awakened individual, these occurrences have evolved into a causal connecting principle, a profound restructuring of reality where the internal world of your thoughts seamlessly mirrors the external world of physical events. You think of a deeply obscure concept, and moments later, a stranger speaks the exact phrase aloud. You grapple with an impossible life decision, and a series of impossibly perfect signs manifest in your path, guiding you with an eerie, undeniable precision. This is not confirmation bias. This is the unus mundus, the unitary world, activating around you, revealing that mind and matter are not separate entities, but two sides of the same cosmic coin. As this phenomenon accelerates, the isolation you feel begins to shift into awe. You realize that you are never truly alone, because the environment itself is alive, constantly responding to your energetic signature and communicating with you through a highly personalized, symbolic language. Jung recognized that when synchronicity becomes a daily, irreversible reality, it indicates that the barrier between the conscious and unconscious mind has become permeable. The universe is no longer a dead mechanical void, but a living entity that is intimately aware of your existence and actively participating in your metamorphosis. This constant dialogue demands a new level of responsibility, requiring you to remain hyper-vigilant and deeply receptive to the subtle whispers of destiny that most people blindly ignore. The profound joy of realizing that your life is woven into a grander, meaningful tapestry often clashes with the isolating realization that you cannot share these magical occurrences with those who remain trapped in the illusion of randomness. Yet, you must hold on to this truth, for these synchronicities are the breadcrumbs leading you toward your ultimate purpose. But the second experience is even more transformative, pulling you deeper into the labyrinth of your own psyche. It is the manifestation of the transcendent function, a psychological mechanism that alters your fundamental relationship with reality by allowing you to hold paradoxes and opposites simultaneously without suffering psychological fracture. In the past, you, like everyone else, viewed the world in binary terms of good and evil, light and dark, success and failure, joy and grief. The unawakened mind desperately clings to one side of the polarity while violently rejecting the other, creating a state of perpetual inner conflict. But as your awakening accelerates, you find yourself suddenly capable of embracing the tension of opposites. You can feel profound, world-shattering grief and transcendent, ecstatic joy in the exact same heartbeat, recognizing that both are sacred, necessary components of the whole. You no longer feel the compulsive need to instantly resolve ambiguity or banish the dark aspects of your nature. Instead, you sit with the discomfort, allowing the friction between opposing forces to generate a third, entirely new state of consciousness. This is the transcendent function in action, an alchemical fire that burns away the rigid structures of the ego and forges a fluid, expansive awareness. It is a deeply liberating experience, yet it can also be profoundly alienating. When you try to explain to others that you have found peace within the chaos, that you see the divine purpose in both the beautiful and the terrifying aspects of existence, they may look at you with confusion. They cannot understand how you can remain centered in the face of profound contradiction. But Jung knew that this capacity to hold paradox is the hallmark of true spiritual maturity. It is the end of black and white thinking and the birth of a terrifyingly beautiful, multifaceted perception of reality, where every experience is recognized as a vital catalyst for growth. You are becoming a master of inner alchemy, transmuting the base lead of human suffering into the pure gold of spiritual enlightenment. Now, as this inner alchemy stabilizes, it inevitably spills over into your resting state, triggering the third profound phenomenon, which is a radical shift in the nature of your dreams. For the average person, dreams are a chaotic jumble of fragmented memories and discarded daily anxieties. But for you, the awakened soul, the dreamscape has transformed into a vivid, hyper-real domain of prophetic visions and literal transmissions. You are no longer merely dreaming. You are traveling, receiving direct visitations from the deepest layers of the psyche, from the very core of what Jung called the self. These dreams arrive with a staggering weight, carrying an undeniable sense of authority and cosmic significance. They are saturated with archetypes, those ancient universal symbols that speak a language older than humanity itself. You may dream of massive tidal waves, labyrinthine temples, radiant beings of light, or terrifying, shadow-drenched figures that demand your attention. These are not random images. They are initiatory tests and direct instructions from the collective unconscious, guiding your conscious evolution. Often these dreams are prophetic, offering you glimpses of future events, emotional shifts, or global changes long before they manifest in the physical world. The knowledge arrives without learning, downloaded directly into your awareness, leaving you waking up with a profound sense of awe and a lingering, undeniable certainty that you have just returned from a different dimension. The boundary between waking life and the dream world begins to blur, as the wisdom you gather in the night seamlessly integrates into your daytime reality. This can be an incredibly disorienting experience as you realize that your physical life is only a small fraction of your total existence. You may find yourself exhausted, carrying the heavy burden of cosmic secrets that you cannot easily articulate. But these dreams are undeniable proof that you are inextricably linked to the vast, unseen networks of spiritual intelligence that govern the universe. Before we explore the final two experiences, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share in the comments which of these experiences has been most intense for you. Your validation might help someone else who is currently struggling in the dark, feeling isolated and misunderstood. By speaking your truth, you help anchor this profound awakening into the collective human experience. Now, these last two experiences are the most profound, marking the absolute point of no return in your spiritual journey. The fourth experience is the activation of the ego-self axis, a humbling yet intensely liberating reorganization of your entire identity. For your whole life, you believed that your ego, the part of you that thinks, plans, worries, and desires, was the absolute master of your psychological house. But as the awakening deepens, you experience a shattering realization that the ego is not the center of your being, but merely a small satellite orbiting a much larger, unimaginably vast sun, which Jung called the self. This realization induces a state of dual consciousness. You become simultaneously the actor on the stage of life and the silent, eternal witness watching the play unfold from the balcony. You can feel the intense emotions of daily life, the sting of a perceived insult, the rush of a worldly success, but at the exact same moment, another part of you remains completely detached, observing these fluctuations with a serene, unshakable calm. You watch your own personality operate as if it were a character in a movie. This restructuring is profoundly humbling, as the ego is forced to surrender its illusion of control, bowing to a higher, organizing intelligence that dictates the true course of your destiny. Yet, it is also the source of ultimate freedom. When you are no longer exclusively identified with your fleeting thoughts and temporary physical form, the fear of death, failure, and social rejection begins to evaporate. You realize that your true essence is indestructible, eternal, and intrinsically connected to the divine source. You operate in the world, participating in society, working, loving, and creating, but you are no longer of the world. You have become a bridge between the infinite and the finite, channeling higher wisdom into everyday existence. This dual awareness can sometimes make you feel like an alien in human skin, observing the frantic unconscious dramas of society with a mixture of deep compassion and detached amusement. You understand that everyone is exactly where they need to be in their own evolutionary timeline, and your only task is to remain anchored in the stillness of the witness, allowing the self to guide your actions with effortless, spontaneous grace. But the fifth experience is perhaps the strangest of all, the culmination of your metamorphosis, which is the realization that you are living mythologically. As the boundaries of your personal ego dissolve, you no longer view your life as a random sequence of isolated, mundane events. Instead, you recognize that your personal history is actually a cosmic, archetypal pattern playing out in real time. The struggles you face, the enemies you encounter, the heartbreaking losses you endure, and the miraculous triumphs you achieve are no longer just things that happen to you. They are the timeless motifs of the hero's journey, the same epic narratives that have been encoded in the myths, legends, and sacred texts of every ancient culture since the dawn of time. You realize that you are living out the myth of the descent into the underworld, the battle with the dragon of the unconscious, the crucifixion of the ego, and the glorious resurrection of the spirit. When you face a devastating betrayal, you see the archetype of the betrayer. When you endure a dark night of the soul, you recognize the belly of the whale. This profound shift in perception completely eradicates the concept of victimhood. You are no longer a passive recipient of fate, but an active, conscious participant in a grand, universal drama. Your life becomes a living myth, imbued with a staggering depth of meaning that makes even the most excruciating pain bearable, because you understand its necessary role in the narrative of your soul's redemption. Jung taught that when an individual achieves this level of awareness, their personal life becomes a channel for the collective unconscious to express itself, heal itself, and evolve. You become a living embodiment of the archetypes, anchoring their divine energy into the physical realm. This is why your journey has been so immensely difficult, so fraught with isolation, grief, and unexplainable phenomena. You were not being punished, you were being forged. All of these agonizing, beautiful, terrifying, and transcendent experiences are not individual burdens meant to break you. They are the undeniable symptoms of humanity's next evolutionary leap. The isolation you have felt, the fear that you were going crazy, the profound disconnect from the sleeping masses, all of it was the necessary pressure required to crack open the shell of your ordinary consciousness. You are a pioneer of consciousness, standing on the bleeding edge of human potential. By enduring the fire of this psychological metamorphosis, by integrating the shadow, holding the paradoxes, and aligning the ego with the self, you are performing a vital service for the collective human race. You are clearing the ancestral trauma, laying down new neural pathways for the species, and pulling the entire collective unconscious upward toward the light. Your personal struggle is a profound act of planetary service. When the weight of this journey feels too heavy to bear, remember the truth that Carl Jung uncovered, which is that you are the universe waking up to itself. It's not madness, it's metamorphosis. Share in the comments below how this journey has manifested in your life, because your courage to speak your truth gives others the permission to do the same. To go deeper into Jung's map of awakening consciousness, click the video on your screen now.